I'm 73 years old, and 3 months ago my doctor told me I have type 2 diabetes. That's not the secret. The secret is that I've been eating alone for 12 years, and I never once admitted to myself that it mattered. My husband died in 2013. Heart attack. He was gone before the ambulance arrived. I thought grief would be the hardest part, and it was for a while. But grief eventually becomes something you carry, not something that crushes you every morning when you open your eyes. What crushed me was quieter. It was the meals. For 46 years, I cooked for someone. Breakfast before work, dinner at 6, Sunday roasts, birthday cakes, Thanksgiving turkey. I measured my days by what I put on the table. It gave me purpose. It gave me structure. It made me feel needed. And then, suddenly, I wasn't. At first, I kept cooking the same portions. Force of habit. I'd make enough spaghetti for 2 and then pack the leftovers into containers that would sit in the fridge until they spoiled. I'd bake chicken and eat 1 piece and throw the rest away 3 days later. It felt wasteful. It felt sad. So I stopped. I started buying those frozen dinners, the ones in the black plastic trays that you poke holes in and microwave for 4 minutes. Salisbury steak, turkey and mashed potatoes, chicken Alfredo. They came with their own compartments, vegetables already portioned, no waste, no effort. I told myself it was practical. No one to cook for, no point in heating up the whole kitchen just for me. And that was true, but it was also a lie I didn't know I was telling. And because what I was really doing, what I've been doing all these years, was eating like someone who doesn't matter, like someone whose body is just a machine that needs fuel, not a person who deserves care. I didn't see it that way then. I just thought I was being sensible. But when Dr. Patel sat me down last November and showed me my A1C levels, when she started talking about insulin resistance and blood sugar and kidney function, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Shame. Not because I was sick, but because I realized I'd done this to myself. Slowly, meal by meal, in 1,000 small choices I thought didn't count. All those nights I ate cereal for dinner standing at the counter. All those mornings I skipped breakfast because I couldn't be bothered. All those years I chose convenience over care, not because I was busy, but because I was alone and it felt like no one would notice either way, and no one did. My daughter would call and ask how I was doing, and I'd say fine. My neighbor would wave from her garden, and I'd wave back. I looked fine. I sounded fine. I went to church on Sundays. I volunteered at the library on Tuesdays. But inside my house, I was disappearing bite by bite. I remember the first time I ate dinner, straight from the container. I was watching the news, and I'd microwaved one of those pasta meals, and I just didn't feel like dirtying a plate. So I ate it right there on the couch, plastic fork and all. It didn't feel like a big deal, just easier, less to clean. But then I did it again the next night, and the night after that, and eventually I stopped even sitting down. I'd eat standing at the kitchen counter, scrolling through my phone, shoveling food into my mouth without tasting it. Meals stopped being meals. They became something I did between other things, a task to check off, fuel and nothing more. I told myself it didn't matter because no one was watching. But my body was watching. My body was keeping score. And when I look back now, I can see exactly when it started. The weight came on slowly, 5 pounds one year, 7 the next. By the time I was 70, I'd gained 40 pounds since Robert died. I told myself it was age, metabolism slowing down, hormones. But it wasn't that. It was loneliness hardening into habit. It was grief turning into neglect so slowly I didn't even notice. The doctor gave me a meal plan, whole grains, lean protein, fresh vegetables, portion control. She said if I committed, I could manage this without insulin, maybe even reverse some of the damage. I nodded. I took the pamphlet, I thanked her, and I went home and sat at my kitchen table and cried for an hour. Because it wasn't just about food. It was about the fact that I'd spent 12 years treating myself like I wasn't worth the effort. Like my body didn't deserve kindness just because no one was there to share it with. Like meals didn't matter if there was no one across the table to smile at me and say it was good. And now my body was telling me it did matter. That all those years of not caring had added up. That I couldn't ignore it anymore. That I'd hurt myself without even meaning to. I started trying. I really did. I bought fresh chicken breasts and broccoli and brown rice. I chopped vegetables. I measured portions. I made real meals and sat down at the table to eat them. But it felt strange, heavy, because I wasn't just fighting blood sugar. I was fighting 12 years of silence, 12 years of eating like someone who didn't deserve better, 12 years of pretending it was fine when it wasn't. The first week, I cried almost every night, not because the food was hard, but because sitting down alone at that table made me feel the absence all over again. Made me remember what it used to be like when there was conversation and laughter and someone to cook for. Now it was just me and a plate and silence. I almost gave up. I almost went back to the freezer dinners because at least they didn't make me feel anything. But then I thought about my granddaughter. She's 16 now. And I thought about what I would tell her if she came to me and said she'd stopped eating real food because she was alone. And if she told me she didn't think she mattered enough to take care of herself, I would be heartbroken. I would tell her she was precious, that she mattered, that her body deserved care and kindness no matter who was watching. And I realized I'd never once said that to myself. Not in 12 years. You know what I wish someone had told me? That eating alone doesn't have to mean eating badly. That your body still deserves care even when no one's there to notice. That love isn't just what you do for other people, it's what you do for yourself when no one's watching. That loneliness is real and it's hard, but it's not an excuse to disappear. I thought I was just a widow making do, getting by, being practical. But what I was really doing was punishing myself in ways I didn't have words for. Punishing myself for still being here when he wasn't. Punishing myself for not knowing how to live alone without shrinking into something smaller and sadder and sicker. And the thing is, I can change my diet now. I can take medication. I can check my blood sugar 3 times a day and follow all the rules. But I can't get back the years I spent believing I didn't matter enough to feed myself well. I can't undo the damage that silence does when you stop treating yourself like someone worth sitting down for. I can't reverse the harm I did to my body because I thought care was something you only did when someone else was watching. I still eat alone. That hasn't changed. But I'm learning, slowly, at 73. That alone doesn't have to mean careless. That making a real meal, even just for myself, is a way of saying I'm still here, and that still counts. That's setting the table, even for one. Is an act of love. I use real plates now. I sit down. I chew slowly. I try to taste what I'm eating instead of just swallowing it down so I can move on to the next thing. Some nights, it still feels heavy. Some nights, I still cry. But I do it anyway, because I'm learning that I matter, not because someone's watching, not because I'm taking care of someone else, but because I'm here, and my body has carried me this far, and it deserves more than neglect, and frozen dinners, and standing at the sink in the dark. If you're reading this, and you're eating standing up, because it feels like too much effort to sit down when it's just you, I want you to know something. You matter. Your body matters. The care you give yourself when no one's looking matters just as much as the care you give when they are, maybe more. I don't know how much time I have left. The doctor says if I manage this well, I could have many good years ahead. But I also know I'm 73, and time moves faster now, and I can feel my body slowing down in ways I can't ignore anymore. So I don't want to waste what's left. I don't want to spend it the way I spent the last 12 years. I don't want to fade, because I convinced myself I wasn't worth the trouble of a home-cooked meal. I'm learning to cook again, learning to sit down, learning to treat myself the way I would treat someone I loved. I just wish I'd learned it sooner. I wish I'd known that grief doesn't have to turn into self-neglect, that being alone doesn't mean you stop mattering, that your body will forgive you if you start now, but it won't forget the years you pretended it didn't need you. So if there's anything I can leave you with, it's this. Don't wait until a diagnosis forces you to see what you've been doing to yourself. Don't wait until your body breaks down to realize you were worth caring for all along. Sit down. Make the meal. Taste your food. You're still here. That's reason enough.